we never acknowledge it. It's just normal.
Yeah.
Room. This is what we do.
Hello.
You want this too, huh? You want this?
Only you, the early viewers, get this.
Get to see this.
This is why you have to show up.
Just for you, special. There you go.
Don't post it on
Congratulations.
Twitter or anything.
If
It's
this
for
is
you
your first
guys.
time joining us, this happens every week.
Only in the first 10 seconds of the show.
You have
do
to
get
be
see
there.
Yeah.
that. Right at the
Exactly.
start.
You
Right at
wonder
the
why
beginning.
Ro is laughing at the start? Res.
If you're 10 seconds late, you're gonna miss it.
It's gone.
That's
now it
it.
just seems like welcome to the waiting room.
Don't even try and clip it.
It's
Someone already
unclippable,
has.
the first 30 seconds of the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Twitch algorithm.
Yeah.
Stuff on the internet never gets brought up again.
Thank God, honestly.
Gone forever.
So how was your week?
My week was really nice. I
Yeah.
voted for my All-Pro.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Did you all vote for
I
your
did.
All-Pro votes?
I did.
Now, my All-Pro votes were very similar to the actual award winners, where
Yeah.
I voted all players that were in the top 3 teams, which when you just say it, sounds a little bit
Top 3
wrong.
teams.
Yeah.
But top 3 teams.
Yeah.
But then when you go through it and actually try and fill out your votes, it makes sense. You know, with the season that we've had and the clear delineation of the teams
Yeah.
and this big break point between top 3 teams and the other teams.
Yeah, it's really tough actually. It's the first time I was trying to think back, not only when I've been on broadcast, but when I've been a media member, if there was ever a time when I just solely chose all players from the top 3 teams. I could not remember another time that this is how my votes shook out. And I think
Yeah.
it points to the discrepancy between like TL, C9, FlyQuest, and then the field.
Then the drop. The massive drop in
Yeah.
wins. But now let's congratulate the LCS Kia All-Pro first team.
Impact coming around from behind, a slicing maelstrom. Impact just dancing on him again. Impact is an absolute raid boss, and I don't think 100 Thieves has the gear. And it's another kill going the way of Blabber. Blabber punches him right in the face. A double kill for the C9 jungler. APA looking to stand and fight. Gatling gunning him. Whippo dies before he's able to haymake. It's a double kill of an APA. And APA brings in the cannons to get it done. Team Liquid's War Machine is online. And a double kill over the Yawn. Rampage God is godlike and Contractz falls. Team Liquid taking their time because they know they are inevitable. Core JJ serving him up. Gotta keep watching out, man. Here with a fella like Core JJ with a full team engaged Magnet Storm.
There's that All-Pro first team, 4 Team Liquid members.
There's that mustache on APA
Yeah.
again.
the Media Day mustache.
The Impact facial hair that like both APA and Impact immediately shaved off
That's
probably
so
after
troll.
Media Day.
I think we have all of the All-Pro teams as well. So
Yeah.
here was the first team. It's essentially all of Team Liquid with Blabber.
Yep.
And then the second team is all of the second place team with the third place's team's jungler.
Who's the second place team,
Inspired.
Jatt? Pop quiz.
Boom.
Cloud9
Cloud9 was inspired, yep.
with Inspired. And then the third team is all of FlyQuest with Boogie.
Yeah,
So
we-
only the
It's
junglers.
Umpty.
Umpty.
Oh yeah, Umpty.
Oh my God.
I forgot Umpty existed.
Man.
Wow.
The shade. The shade.
You just jumped to that conclusion. It's like,
So-
yeah, I didn't know anything.
But Umpty is the biggest discussion point, I think, of the entire All-Pro voting.
Yeah.
Because, especially for me, and seeing Umpty's reaction when TL first won and they were champions, and it was so heartfelt. You know, he was almost in tears on stage.
Yeah.
Be like, I am the champion now. You know, I'm finally the best after he has struggled for so long in LCK. So for him to be the one that kind of gets slighted from TL and be put down all the way on third team instead of up on first team, I think is the biggest discussion point, both because, you know, how meaningful it is to Umpty and like he's probably going to feel slighted, but also because of like the way the junglers play, and Blabber and Inspired are much more, selfish is a word for it, but they also have like stronger mechanics that get highlighted by people in like
Yeah.
duels and stuff. They're much more carry-oriented junglers, and Umpty is a facilitator jungle that fits perfectly into what Team Liquid need.
Yeah, which is really interesting, right? Because it hasn't always been like that for his career, but it's specifically, even in this meta where we had such AP farming heavy junglers, which I think inspired and like in particular inspired, but also Blabber took to very, very well. You then had, and Umpty even joked about it a lot with the team, right? Where he's like, oh yeah, I want to lock in something fun. And then the man in the top lane says, Sejuani, Maokai. And he's like, okay. But like that has been his role on the team, right? And it's a lot of what we talk about when we talk to support players in a Enchanter meta. And they're like, you're never gonna get recognized as much as when you're on engaged supports and your mechanics are more on display just naturally, because a lot of times you're engaging the fights. So it's your decision making plus like the timing of the engage. And I think something similar is going on with Umpty, where I feel like some of the stuff is flying under the radar because of how well he's been able to set up his team and what his role has been.
And I wanted to say, because of course we're focusing a lot on Umpty, there are a lot of other surprises that were on the list as well. Like, surprise in a way. I mean, at the beginning of the split, Quad being in an all-pro vote, I think not a lot of people would have expected, especially off of week 1 or week 2, but he's really showcased to be A, incredibly consistent, B, that brother is a grinder. So on solo queue, the moment AD carry mids were starting to become a thing, that guy was spamming Zeri, Corki, all these things, and it really showed up on stage. The performances that he's had has been incredible, and now that we're shifting towards mages, something that he was already an expert at, you're starting to see him as one of the better mid laners in the league.
Yeah, he had to overcome so much immediate skepticism to his position.
Yes.
I also want to shout out Impact, though, because he's always up around the top of the top lane, but anyone who was allowed to vote Impact first team voted him first team.
Yes.
Which is just, I'm going to count that as unanimous based on the way the voting system works, because Team Liquid is not allowed to vote for him. Just an absolutely incredible split for Impact.
He's a monster, and I know that this is going to be further conversation about him, but when it comes down to how damn good you are for how long you have been playing, he's always had that fire for competition, and in a changed, I guess, like meta, but then going kind of back to what he's known for, which is like lane swapping. Oh, I've done this before. And he's been really schooling a lot of people.
That's the thing, though, is lane swapping. TL has been the team pushing the whole narrative of lane swaps, because they brought back much better macro as well as lane swaps from their international performances, and is one of the biggest reasons that all these teams are pointing at TL at the top and talking about TL are just, you know, that's why they're at the top is because of Impact. And so I am not surprised it's unanimous, because everybody is like, yes, Impact is the change for this team.
Yeah.
He is coaching up the younger players. He is also performing really well individually. He is also controlling so much of the macro and the lane swap. So MVP votes, I think, are likely for him as well, when the best team in the league has a unanimous best top laner.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's some heavy indications.
Investigator Kobe.
We'll see. We'll see, Kobe. Let's pull out the playoff bracket.
Could be anybody, though. Could be anybody.
Let's check out what we have in store for the rest of the playoffs. We have the lower bracket taking place today, Dig versus NRG. You can see the long road back up if they want to become champions. And then later this weekend, we're going to have TL 100 and C9 FlyQuest. Also note that the higher seeded loser from the upper bracket games will essentially get to skip one of the rounds of the lower bracket. So I'd say regular season matters probably more than ever for the playoffs, and it also makes Dig NRG's road that much harder.
The gauntlet is back, baby! I have so many good gauntlet memories. The legendary Cloud9 gauntlet to Worlds, climbing all the way back up.
Speaking of Impact.
The teams, I mean, the teams at the bottom of the gauntlet, that's what you gotta look to right now. That's what you have to hope for.
Some of my favorite memories. I know, like in the LPL Gauntlet, where it's in the past, it's just been brutal, like Snake and all these teams having to make their run. Like, that's a story in and of itself that really build kind of like champions. So let's get it going.
It's not gonna be easy, but
Nope.
that's your only path forward.
Yep.
And it also didn't start well for them, because every team started in the upper bracket. These two teams lost last week. With this playoffs being on the same patch throughout, even though it was a new patch last week, what do they need to fix? What do they need to change?
Well, we've been talking a lot about mid lane and the changes to mid lane. I think that is even more true with these two teams. These two teams are
What is going on?
Whoa, they both co-opted
They
the same graphic.
King of Mages and =1 Mage guy. Which would you rather be? Which
Number
would
one
you
mage guy.
rather be?
I want to be the number 1 mage guy.
I mean, Jensen looks cool. He's got the sunglasses. Like, that is a sick photo.
Yeah. I will say the original prompt when we were planning the show was everyone just say the thing you want to talk about.
like the
and I feel
Tupac
like
and Biggie of
almost all
mages.
of us talked about playing more mages for these guys. I specifically said it for Jensen. They did pivot to Azir in game 3 of getting swept by 100 Thieves, but earlier on in the series, we're playing the same 80 carries they played throughout the split. And I just want to see them kind of go back on their comfort. And maybe even more than just these 3 mages, because if Palafox also goes to mages, that opens up Jensen for the type of stuff he was playing in spring, where the pool gets even deeper.
I just want to see them not get solo killed by Smolder level 1.
Yeah, that'd be.
You're asking for a lot, Kobe.
That would be a good start. I think that's why we're all focused on the mid lane so much. These two mid laners we know are really good. They have been so good in the past, and not even that far in the past, but this split, they have not. They've been pretty disappointing even to themselves, I think.
Yeah, they have been. And I know that we'll talk about that pretty extensively going forward. At least I want to talk about, because we talked about Azir and those changes, like the mages coming out. If you're Palafox, you're going to be happy if the Orianna gets picked by Jensen, because then you're like, okay, maybe I get the Yone not banned and I can pick it here too. Another champion that comes to my mind is Senna, mostly because NRG is a team that like really has been known for creative drafts in the past surrounding Senna, that they would go to 4-5 and be like, well, we're going Senna Ziggs, or is it Senna Nautilus, or all these things. Now, we saw Tomo pick up this specific build, whereas Black Cleaver and Echoes of Helia. So, like, Senna is a bit monstrous and probably shouldn't even be pickable, should just be banned throughout the series. But if it's open, NRG, don't do what you did in the last series. Don't ban it in first phase your side when I feel like you're the best team with it. So that's kind of like my expectation, at least from the draft's perspective.
Yeah, I think Senna should be really heavily considered.
Yeah.
They already, you know, it's a good indication when the balance team already like goes on Twitter and they're like, hey, we're gonna nerf Senna. Senna nerfs are coming up.
Yeah,
so.
had you played the Soraka Senna, like just the full enchanter healing items?
Yeah.
No, but that sounds disgusting.
It's not for pro. Oh my god, it heals so much.
I mean,
it's
it
ludicrous.
actually is for pro.
It's
like
actually ludicrous,
Full
the amount
Enchanter
of
Senna is for pro. Like they should
Yeah.
definitely be doing that.
Man, you got something.
We do. So those are some of the more like obvious ones from the patch. But I really want, especially from teams that are at the bottom, you know, teams that are at their lowest hope, pull out some surprise stuff. Pull out some stuff that other people are not doing. So Galio is one specifically. Galio is one specifically that for a long time, since Galio got changes to having the health ratios, has actually been a good pick. Now, we were dropping hints about this and talking about this a little bit ever since MSI and since the, you know, some support players, namely Core JJ, was using it a lot as support. But Galio can be used mid as well as top as well as support. We saw it a tiny bit in the LEC. Broken Blade did it, Friskawi did it, only a single game each. But I think that is something that if you are on one of these bottom teams, Camille is in a pretty good state right now. That pairs well with Galio. You can do Galio Nocturne compositions. You can do these very easy to execute is the main thing I'm going for here.
Yeah.
Galio engages with Camille or Nocturne or any of those hard engaged champions. And you can use Kaisa, you can do these dive comps. I think there are lots of other looks that these teams haven't necessarily branched out to that are pretty strong right now. You know, even like Skarner, I've been trying to push Skarner coming back since the buffs.
Hey,
I know people are
Licorice has already
skeptical,
played it
but
against NRG.
Also, two players that have played it recently since some of the changes. If I said the names Kanavi and Canyon, would you have faith in the restored Skarner play?
A little bit more faith. A little bit more faith.
I mean, all I'm saying, there are some other picks out there that I hope that we get to see from these teams. When you get down to the bottom and you're at the bottom of the gauntlet, sometimes you get a little demoralized and you start to rethink how you're playing the game.
I like the Galio.
Yeah?
I like
it. I like
Galio.
it for energy because Galio is really good when you pick high volatility top lane, which Dhokla has been wanting to do for quite some time.
Sure.
So you never know. Emily, you also looked at the drafts from last week. What do you got?
I am going to just take a look at some of the drafts because we already talked about what these two teams can do. Here's a quote from Tomo regarding Dignitas's he said they had a pretty bad meta read, and it felt like they were winning every single time, essentially. The thing I really want to point out is this Game 2 draft in particular. This is the one where obviously you're going to point down to execution in the mid lane with the Zeri dying to Smolder level 1. But even looking at this draft, right, how you want to execute it is this is a very like hard lane focused draft. There was a lane swap in this game. Dig historically have been really bad at dealing with lane swaps, and it really showed in this specific game because when you look at where the top laners ended up, Licorice was still like level 2 by the time Sniper was level 4, even with the swap. So it's not even just like, if you want to pick a composition like this and you're still anticipating the swap, that's cool, but your Kalista Renata has to just constantly be like shoving bot wave, right? So that's one thing I wanted to point out. This is probably more what I think we might see from Dig today with the Zven Ezreal maybe, and then I think the Jensen Azir is the more important one. Flip-flopping to NRG. I'm gonna take a look at their last 3 drafts in the FlyQuest series, and in particular, this was the game that they won. That was the Volibear top pick. But I think even something like this, you see moments where you're like, okay, this is something that NRG could be successful with, especially with the Ivern. But the big thing I wanted to point out is something that Raz already brought up, which is the blue side Senna bans, which I think really have to change. This is, like, FBI, I'd still say is our best Senna player in the league, just individually. So this was the most shocking thing for me regarding NRG's drafts, was actually that they chose to do that. So for adaptations looking forward, I think mages are going to be a huge thing, like we already covered. I want to see if Senna is freed up. And then we'll see if they have any curveballs, like Kobe pointed out with the win rates.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think there's always going to be a fear when you're drafting Senna that you're going to get dove, you're going to play against the Kalista, Renata, like they kind of, were under threat when they were playing against FlyQuest, and almost certainly when you're going up against Dignitas, they're going to play a lane-dominant bot lane, or at least they should. So I think as long as they take away Kalista, we should be seeing Senna. If that gets banned, that's completely fine. I love the Ivern take that you made there. I think that's something that they've been pretty damn good with. Their best comps have a lot of the time has been really control-based comps with like Ivern, Braum, Sejuani, those types of supporting players and picks.
And the last point, I'm really glad you brought it up, because the last point, especially in that final game, a lot of it is for NRG is execution, right? Like a lot of it for both of these teams is execution.
Yeah.
So for today, I would just want them to draft stuff that they're comfortable with that's very easy to execute.
Yeah, I would say, looking at the mid lane matchup, Jensen's not going to die at level 1 again. Like 2 weeks in a row, it just can't happen. So he's going to make a big improvement.
I'll do it again.
But these two players had bad weeks last week, but even recently, not too long ago, have had very high peaks.
Yeah. I always love bringing back the Zhao quote because it was like a Google Translate of what he said from an interview. But the midfield genius is just such a good, nickname for Palafox. It's just that this split has been so off that mark for him, it's just been weird to see because, like you're saying, it was fairly recently, just last year Worlds, where he was playing super well. In those playoffs, Palafox was popping off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing, like, Palafox actually had a good beginning to this past spring, too, even when NRG were struggling. And then the other thing that Graphic pointed out is that Jensen was 3rd team All-Pro just last split.
When he was on FlyQuest before the Annie incident.
Yeah. That was pre-Annie.
But people will be pointing out too, during this split, both of these mid laners, like having some boneheaded moments. You already mentioned the solo death to the Smolder, but also there was the level 1 NRG versus Cloud9 when we saw the Tristana jump in. So a lot of times we're looking at these players and we know they're better than this. We know they have a lot more in them. So this is the series where both of them you have to have a freed mental. You have to come in with a clear mind. So I'm really interested to see, honestly, the drafts I could care less about. I just want to see them playing at their best at this point. Because this could be the last time we ever see them. So you got to come in really fighting.
And that's definitely the energy in the room for these guys, is there's so many veterans on both of these teams. If they lose, it is their last game of the year. There would likely be roster changes after this as well. So you really want to have strong performances from here on out. I mean, there's just a lot of pressure. Looking at the player cams, they do seem loose, which is really good to see, but the actual consequence of this game is incredibly high.
I think that's also why it's been so frustrating as we go through and see some of the win moments for these players as individuals and as a team.
Yeah.
It's been really frustrating, at least for
that's a
me,
throwback.
to watch these teams this split, because I like these players and I want them to play well. And especially coming out of last weekend for both of these teams, neither of them looked good. And they both made very, very obvious mistakes that we know these players, because of their history, because of their legacy, are more than well aware of that they're making, right? So it's just, I would like for today's game, the ideal of it would be if both teams just show up and play really well. I'm not counting on it based on last week, but I would like to see it because we know the pedigree is there for these players.
Jatt, you know what you said last week?
A lot of stuff. I speak frequently.
What did he say?
Last week you were talking about how teams in the gauntlet, it has been done before where you make that run.
Yeah.
And you mentioned TSM, and you know who was on that team during that run?
Spica
was on that team during that run. I feel like being able to call back to moments where you were able to get the job done under an incredible amount of duress and pressure and poor performance during the regular season, you have to feel as though you can just wipe the plate clean completely and move forward. And some of these players have done it before. Spica has done it before.
Yep.
So it just amounts to coming together as a team and getting it done.
9 of the 10 players playing today are LCS champions at some point in their past.
Yep.
And many of them multi-time LCS champions. So the pressure of this is an elimination game, this is lower bracket, could just evaporate, or their brain could get clouded by the fact that this year hasn't gone well, their reputation is on the line, with how much success they've had in the past, they really don't want to drop out as the 5th or 6th place team. So it really depends what mental state they're able to reach. So very, very excited for this matchup. And in case you missed last week, you can now subscribe to the LCS Twitch channel. Paid and gifted subs will unlock an in-game emote, and all subs unlock your typical Twitch features like badges and emotes. Discord accounts will get access to sub-only chat and content. And lastly, Riot will match all proceeds from the subscriptions to the LCS Championship prize pool.
Ooh, that's true.
Nice.
That's true. They've been out there
That's pretty
subbing.
good.
They've been out there subbing and saying a lot of stuff. I remember Derek Loves Pokemon on the chat also said he's looking forward to maybe a Nasus mid or top lane.
Let's
So,
go!
he's been watching some of those games.
LPL loves their Nasus for
And
sure.
then Showmaker played it last night.
And
Nasus mid.
I was gonna say that emote is actually kind of funny though. That's kind of.
The renekton one?
I kind of
Pretty
want
great.
it now.
On the topic of the players, though, we have a special thing before this series. Instead of the pre-series coach interview, we have a pre-series player interview.
Ooh.
I talked with Dhokla and Zven a little bit ago. I'm here with Zven and Dhokla ahead of the series today. I do want to touch on last week.
Please don't.
Dignitas 100 Thieves, not your best showing. What happened and how do you fix it for this week?
Can you? I mean, we can fix it because we're playing against these guys, but I don't know what happened, bro. We just pulled up and got stomped. Like, what can you say?
Dhokla, kind of the same question for you. FlyQuest series would have been nice to win that one, but what happened? What went wrong, and how do you fix it for this week?
We threw game 1, just gave it to them.
That was disgusting, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty disgusting. Yeah. I mean, game 1, just throw that away, and then game 2 was a bit better, but then we're kind of dizzy on the map, so I think just lock in. We just need to lock in.
This is also the lower bracket of the LCS playoffs.
All the lows.
Loser season is over. Winner still has a chance for Worlds. Talk to me a little bit about the importance going into today.
There's just so much more at stake here than Worlds Jatt. Did you hear that if Dignitas wins the LCS, the password to all the lobbies of LCS will be changed to Dig season? While if NRG wins, no one cares. You understand, right, Jatt?
Well, okay. What's on the line for NRG? I hear what you're saying.
It's a battle. Like, yeah, it's just
Battle of the lows.
I mean, that's just what it is. So, realistically, there's not much on the line, but we'll just see who can tough it out. Yeah.
Final question though. You went to Worlds last year.
Yeah.
You've gone to Worlds so many times.
He was also there.
Including last year.
Oh,
As a
last
support.
year, yeah.
As a support. This is
Oh,
80
yeah.
carries, man. It's slightly different.
Yeah.
How do you get... the vibes don't seem that great. How do you get back to the heights that you were there at last year in the past?
Honestly, like the vibes in Dignitas are really, really good. Like last year in C9, the vibes were like probably at the lowest I've ever been in my whole career. Besides like that one time in TSM. We'll talk about those times. But like in Dignitas, the vibes are actually really, really good. Obviously last week, after we got stomped by 100 Thieves, we were like, okay, we lost to 100 Thieves. We should not lose to 100 Thieves. And then we were like having one of those, sit down with each other, guys, what just happened? And then we talked it out and we had a good week of scrims, so I think we got it sorted.
Okay, very final question, Dhokla. Defending summer champion. How do you get back there?
We win.
You don't.
We win a couple of best of 5s in a row, and that's how we get back.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me, guys. I know it's a big series coming up. Let's get into the games.
Oh no.
Does that change your opinion on the series today?
A little bit, maybe.
So we already submitted our
Yeah,
predictions.
I kind of
but-
flip-flop my prediction based on vibes.
Yeah.
Where's the confidence, Dokes? Where's Big Dokes at?
He's young. He's young.
Where's the energy?
Okay.
Let me change it.
All right.
Who's switching? Who's coming to the dig season?
Sven had way better answers in the interview than Dhokla did.
Yeah.
So
I'm letting you now. They'll update this graphic. Who wants to hop over?
If I'm
not doing
basing
it.
if I'm basing it on last week's performance, then I stand by my prediction.
I'm staying on this rickety boat.
So I'll say this. I feel like whoever wins game 1, just based on how like vibes based these two teams have been, like mentally, I feel like that is the team that's winning.
Are you switching?
If Dig win game 1, then I flop.
here's my counter.
You're either swapping now or not.
Swap now or never.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You're not swapping?
No.
So-
I'll swap after game 1 if Dig wins.
In defense,
That doesn't count.
In
It's
defense
over.
of Dignitas.
It does. I then
For
go
me.
on vibes.
In defense of Dignitas for me, I'm looking at more than just last week. I think if we just looked at one series of games, predicting law would be real simple.
Yeah.
You'd always just
True.
predict the team that looked better the week before, and that's not necessarily the case. I think they have a
How
higher
far are you
chance.
going back?
I'm going back to the rest of the split. Maybe the last time they played where Dignitas 2-0'd them.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
like
say
3 weeks.
For my counter for the vibes one though, Dig vibes have been good all season.
Yeah.
And they keep losing anyway. So I'm not accepting the good vibes as the reason they're gonna win.
You know what? My confidence has been restored. The decent squid in chat said, yawn energy easy. So Dhokla was yawning because Dignitas was too
Oh,
easy.
because he's so confident.
Right.
I'll
That's
take
why
that.
I
Okay.
predicted the 3-0.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually glad none of you
Sleeper.
swapped because that means everybody else will be wrong. Let's get into
What?
game 1.
The biggest summer blockbuster is coming back to the LCS for the first time in years. The drama, the action, the upsets, the unthinkable miracle runs. The quest to qualify for the LCS Championship and a chance to prove yourself against the best teams in the world. There's not just a title on the line. On this stage, you're trying to punch your ticket to the greatest show that League of Legends has to offer. When you throw down this playoffs, will your team be stoked by the flames of battle or reduced to ashes falling through the rubble? It's all in. A high-stakes, no-holds-barred, turbulent, all-out brawl as teams fight back up the mountain for one last chance at glory. Every match matters as LCS Playoffs revisits an old favorite in the clash for the championship. No more second chances. No lives left to lose. Just you and the team across the rift. Welcome back to the Gauntlet.
I will not back down. If you hit me, I'll hit you back.
What season is it right now? Big season.
We're gonna 2-0 them very easily.
He kind of like stole my whole flow.
Welcome back to the Summer 2024 LCS Playoffs. Today, the lower bracket kicks off with NRG and Dignitas. Two teams full of LCS champions are now fighting for their lives in the gauntlet. Can NRG make another miracle run, or is Dig season finally on the way? It's time to cast aside the mistakes of the past and become the master of your own fate. The first round of the gauntlet starts right now. Hello and what's up, y'all? My name is Raafaa. I'm joined on the casting desk by Azael and Jatt. The first game between NRG and Dignitas is underway.
I'm excited to see what these teams are going to be bringing out. They've had some time to prepare. Their backs are against the walls. And it's time to see. It's put up or shut up. You know, what can you really get done?
Lower bracket always brings some interesting tweaks as well. Both of these teams are coming off pretty rough defeats. We had a lot of discussion on the lounge about the mid lane champion pool, and immediately we're seeing Dig getting rid of Azir, which is a little bit interesting since they are a team with Jensen. But I will say it's a nice from Palafox, and it means they have a different first pick in mind.
Do you think that they go first pick Orianna and just like,
That's what I'm thinking.
Just like full send it on
I think they're
Jensen mages save us?
Legit, they're trying to pinch the control mage pool.
I think they're going to pick an ADC and everyone's going to be disappointed. That's what I think is going to happen.
Please don't say that.
I think it's going to be Tristana.
For first pick?
Tristana or Corki for Jensen.
So they've banned Renekton.
I think he's on the ADC train.
I think they're trying to draw a Senna ban, and I think if Senna's banned, they'd first pick Lillia. If Senna's up, they should first pick Senna, based on the power I see of the patch.
If they ban Senna on blue side, I'm going to be mighty disappointed.
NRG banned Senna every game last week, and Dig lost to Senna in their final game.
True.
The win rate on that champ is like out of control right now.
It's really, really strong for sure. It is a very, very powerful champion right now in bot lane. The one thing I will say is it does kind of change how you have to play because you need to find engage elsewhere.
Yep.
You can obviously play, those melee plus Senna lanes, which is generally what we see when we see it in pro. But Senna also does just work as a range support. You can play double range bot lanes. That I think is really, really powerful. I just don't know that we'll see it in the LCS because teams are so used to playing around these melee and engage supports. Okay.
We got it. Senna first pick for
Your
Dignitas.
memes will remain dreams as hell.
I didn't say first pick. I said he's going to play Corki or Tristana.
Okay, that's sure. Fine.
Yeah.
Not first pick, though.
No, not first pick. That's what I think. I mean, I hope that Jensen does move back towards mages because he's had so much success with it. Obviously, the ADs really weren't working out for them, but they are still playing, being played a lot globally. They're very, very popular, so we'll have to see. Lillia already suggesting that we would get an AD mid here from Palafox. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but
it's not
highly probable.
But I am happy to see NRG switching in this direction. They have the forbidden combo of Lillia's sleep into bullet time, which will interrupt the sleep, even though no one can ever successfully pull it off. But more importantly, the one game that NRG did win against FlyQuest last week was on Lillia. I think Contractz actually looked quite good on it.
Yep.
So I'm happy to see them going back to this powerful pick this early in the series.
Oh, we actually are getting double range bot lane. So almost always in the LCS, it is just that like fasting Senna with a melee like a Sion or a Tahm Kench or whatever. But this is what I'm talking about. It's a really strong laner. You can pair it with a Kalista. You can pair it with something like a Caitlyn or whatever. There's so many combos that it really does work well with. You don't have to limit yourself to a Tahm Kench. And this can play very lane dominant. And also, because the amount of sustain that you do have, it allows you to shrug off a lot of the MF poke and play really aggressive really in their face.
And this also tells me that Isles is going to be on Senna and Zven is going to be on Kalista most likely. So it is more a true Enchanter supports Senna, which in terms of Isles just being on something that he's recently familiar with, I think works a lot better than trying to find that Nautilus Senna combo where you have to have the AD carry warding and all that other stuff.
I mean, people really do have to think about it like an Enchanter when you're going the full AP build, especially if you're skipping Black Cleaver and you're just going Echoes into Moonstone and this type of build. You really deal very little damage, even if you have a tremendous amount of souls. So it really is more of like a Soraka than like an ADC. You have poke, you have prod, but it's about the sustain. It's not about the damage. It's not like the lethality builds of old where, if you had a good early game and you're getting plates and you're getting kills, you could actually pump out some real damage. This is not that.
Yeah. But you will still have a capable early game since it is the double range bot lane you were talking about, and then you're going to transition into that oppressive feeling support that she is in the state of right now. We are in the second round of picks and bans. Corki already banned by Dignitas in the first or the second round. NRG trying to pinch now the jungle pool already with that Vi taken off the table.
Yeah, Vi getting taken off the table. Maokai as well, so trying to target Spica here a bit. They already have their jungler. It's 4 jungle bans thrown towards Spica. So really trying to limit what he can play here. A mage from Jensen would make a tremendous amount of sense now. Obviously, you have a lot of AD. The Azir was banned out, but that's the only mage mid that has actually been banned.
They can go very standard very easily, even with all of these jungle bans, because Sejuani, Orianna, or something of that sort is still completely available. So it does dictate a little bit what Dig will go towards, but I don't think they get a massive amount of value out of that Maokai and Vi ban.
I mean, Rell is the obvious one, but people do sometimes go dealer's choice on this, where they'll go Rell or Nautilus or Alistar, just kind of based on their own preference. Rell, I do think, is the best setup for that MF ulti. You can really lock people in place and snap them together with your ultimates. So now we're kind of waiting to see, what the answer is from Spica, as well as that final pick, mid from Jensen. I do think we could just get the Orianna.
I imagine the Sejuani will be the final lock-in. If NRG are looking at what is easy gank setup assist to try and accelerate that bot lane, but it's going to be the Xin Zhao, so a little bit more aggressive skirmishing power is going to give Dignitas a better early game state.
And it also works better with the Ori, I think, than the Sejuani. You can just throw the ball in, you can dash in with the E after you hit the W, and really kind of deliver that shockwave.
That's going to be a very powerful Xin, because it's going to have the power of Senna as well as the power of Orianna behind it, so I definitely don't hate them going for a more bruiser-style jungler. If they go Sejuani, the comp would be relatively low on damage, so I'm actually a pretty big fan of Dig taking the learnings of last patch and moving it here.
You can also completely ignore the MF ult with your own ult. You pop the Crescent Guard, and that becomes, a non-issue. It's just so important for Spica to have a good game, and I think for Dignitas to be playing from a place of power, because they don't really have any go button. Like, yeah, sure, you can strap the ball into Zen and you can kind of walk at you. You can hope for some sort of Cassante flank, but there is no Ash Arrow, there is no Sejuani ult, there is no Jarvan, there is no any real go button. And the same is not true over on the NRG side, where they can start a fight out, very, very quickly with Huhi, with a Q flash from Contractz. I think those types of plays are easier to start. And we also have to remember, with Dhokla on the Poppy, there is that chance that you go in for the Audacious Charge and you just get rejected by the Poppy W. You get stunned up. And that can make it very difficult to actually deliver that shockwave where Jensen wants it to be.
Yeah. I think for Dignitas, compared to the drafts we saw last week against 100 Thieves, they're putting a lot more priority on early game state. And I think that is something that has been a fair target of criticism for them. These guys are very experienced, and if they get to the mid and late game, they usually have a better time of figuring out what to do in those late game situations, but their early game was always such a huge liability. Now, investing more power into things like the Xin Zhao, the double range bot lane, maybe that is what sets up Dignitas for success against NRG.
I mean, I think we're going to know, where the game is heading pretty quickly early on in this one, because, if you're playing double range bot lane and you're getting behind, if you're playing the Xin and you are getting behind, things are going to be problematic here for Dignitas. You want to see them getting aggressive. You want to see them creating advantages, being the first to show up to these objectives, utilizing the bot lane prio to stack dragons or to get first push and reset, take those early grubs. But the Kalista needs to be playing from that place of power if Dig is going to be successful in this one.
Right. We head to the Rift for Game 1 between Dignitas and NRG. And as we've already talked a lot about the Dignitas composition for the flip side of NRG, it's a wombo combo. Jatt, you already alluded to it. The Lilting Lullaby, Bullet Time, already a powerful duo in itself. And with Isles, or I should say Huhi on the Rell as well. I mean, now that we have Jensen back on Orianna,
Listen, this is actually an incredibly small buff. It's a 0.05 AP ratio on the Q, but the significance of it is the fact that it was one of the most unchanged abilities in League of Legends history on Orianna. And for Jensen, this is the first time that ability has been buffed in his competitive history. So in that sense, he is playing a new champion.
And this is his best champion historically. Like, he has been so good on the Orianna over the years. Even in drafts where he wouldn't have good setup, he always was able to find that angle to get the perfect shockwave. Has been so consistent. And I think this, if ever, gives you a reason to believe as a Dignitas fan, because you can say, okay, we were losing just because he was on ADs. Now he's back on the tried and true. Let's see if he can find that success.
I think we're going to be getting a lane swap, and I don't know if Jensen knows about it at the moment, though. Because there's a Poppy in the bush.
Uh-oh. I mean, he's going to get slammed by Dhokla, but there's no wall nearby, so he doesn't get hurt that much. But Jensen is going to take a lot of damage. No need to pop the flash, but I wouldn't be surprised if he needs to take an early TP.
One of the possible benefits of initiating the swap is if your top laner gets that early move on mid, it can set the Jayce up as an advantage. Now Isles moving into the jungle of Contractz. And Dhokla getting a little bit of value, at least, from that. We'll see what happens with this stacking wave and the Xin Zhao pathing top to bot.
Well, and this is actually really good if they can take away, the camps on this bottom side, because this is their weak side of the map where you just have that 1v2. So if Contractz can take all these camps, then go up and cover his top side, he's going to be feeling pretty good about that situation. And Isles and Zven obviously wanting to be playing this dominant 2v2 lane with the double range, bullying out Huhi and FBI, because the lane swap, that's being negated.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the early jungle pathing, Lillia is just going to be doing a normal full clear, and Spica is just going to do a normal full clear down. So if Dig hold this wave properly, it's going to be very difficult for Dhokla to get levels. He's got half of his experience bar towards level 2 now.
Yeah.
And Xin is skipping camps to pressure this dive early.
Yeah, the wave is already being stacked up, so this is the time for Spica to jump on the Dhokla. He's still level 1. He doesn't have the extra base stats from level 2, and he's already conceding the wave.
And on the other side, Dhokla's getting that whole wave because Lillia opted to full clear, so Licorice is in an amazing position here.
Yeah, Licorice is going to be able to get that. The trade-off is that Lillia is still farming, and Spica is just sitting here. He's not actually getting any camps, so it's that trade-off of, how much experience advantage can you get? They're trying to keep Dhokla away from the tower.
Oh, he snuck back in.
That was pretty nicely done. The question is he too low?
Can he get 2?
They're going to try to juggle the turret aggro. One more auto attack. Ren for first blood to Zven.
Oh, he was very close to hitting level 2 there. If he gets that, he probably lives. Zven also took some turret shots, but that was the risk there by Dhokla. It fails. Contractz, yes, he got to full clear, but Spica is still only going to be 2 camps behind. This is a very good lane swap start for Dignitas because the only advantage that NRG would have had was Dhokla pressuring the mid lane early, but Jensen's already recovered.
Well, I mean, just look at the experience difference. That is really the payoff here. The goal difference is not that big between, the junglers versus the top laners and whatnot. Dhokla tried to play this out pretty well. Just ease back through them to try to get in. Thought he was going to be able to hit 2. If he got the level up, maybe he does live. Honestly, though, they could probably just reset and redive it. At the very least, he did get a summoner off of Zven. But the problem is this. You level 2, and you look over here at Licorice, he's already level 4.
And lane swaps have been abandoned, so not a good start there for Dignitas. Dhokla is also with the top. This is the strange thing to me about this swap is the top lane Poppy can be a counterpick to the top lane Cassante. We've seen this lane play out Poppy favored a lot of times, and it was also going back to the draft. This is the first Poppy game of Dhokla this split. It's Licorice who'd actually played the top lane Poppy 4 times.
Yeah, obviously they're willing to sacrifice that Poppy more because of the 2v2 bot. That's the big concern is that MF would get slammed in this 2v2. If they pull off this dive, this is massive. Oh, he cleansed nothing.
Okay, but he dodged the stun, and now NRG are in trouble. They have to bail with the teleport coming in from Jensen to stop the dive from being persisted here. Huhi is forced to flash, so is FBI. I don't think NRG should be fine, but the root lands, and FBI is in trouble. Dignitas are turning around every play set by NRG.
Dignitas off to the races. Zven cleansed nothing, but that's because the Q missed. So he was expecting the Rell Q to land to have to cleanse it. Jensen is ready there with the teleport. Now with the 1 kill on the Orianna, this is the comfort zone for Dignitas because previously they've been a team that is very poor about creating their own advantages. But now that they have that 1,700 gold lead, 1 through their own dive and 2 from their own dive defense, they can kind of just slow play this out with their strong scaling.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the angle here because they had a stack wave on them. Zven actually was behind on farm, but the early route from Isles, the fact that he's playing Guardian, the fact that he got those additional healing in for Zven, and a very fast TP from Jensen. And then Isles here uses the move speed of the E, catches up, W flash over the wall, gets the root on FBI, they grab that kill. Jensen's the one that actually does pick it up, so not much of a cost for him dropping that wave mid as well is really, really big for Dig. I mean, that was just a high-risk, high-reward type of play for NRG that did not pay off whatsoever.
It's because here at the Grubs for the first rotation, it looks like Contractz was able to yoink away the first one, but because of the power of Zven coming on over with Isles, Dignitas will force NRG away and will pick up the other 2. I mean, this is now a map state where Dignitas have full control of whatever objective they want to contest for.
They're actually reinitiating the swap. So part of this was to make sure they didn't give up 3 grubs to the jungler who was ahead. So they had 5 people in the area ready to contest those grubs. As soon as they take the grubs, they teleport Licorice down to the bot side. He's actually going to be able to force the teleport out from Dhokla as well, maintain that 2-level lead, and get yet another plate most likely.
Yep, he'll be able to get that plate no problem, has the Demolish proc, has that level lead. And they're trying to push up here because Spica is in the area, so they don't want to allow allow
wow.
FBI to get back to the tower. So FBI is going to be denied that full wave. Huhi could try to play some shenanigans here and hold the wave outside the tower range, but then it becomes a waiting game.
Yeah.
And eventually you will have to let it crash, and that's what he realizes, because if you tank that for too long, then they just dive you, which is what they're going to try to do anyway.
Can FBI bail out his support in a 3v2? Huhi's already taken a lot of damage.
Aftershock?
Spica is popping the ulti, but pressing guard flashes away from the last turret shot, and now FBI is under the tower. Do Dignitas have enough spells and HP to re-dive onto FBI?
They'd love to try.
They're going to go for it again. The AD carries are taking up the turret
Wow.
aggro. Very clean by Dignitas.
That was so well done by Dignitas, zoning off FBI, then corralling Huhi, forcing him into a situation where he could not defend. They juggle the aggro really expertly there. And Dignitas now 3K gold lead. We're not even 8 minutes into the game. This is a stomp already.
Everything has gone the way of Dignitas. Contractz isn't even comfortable starting this Drake when Spica spent the last minute in the top side. He's slowly waddling his way towards his wolves. 4 CS advantage in the jungle. 3,000 gold lead for Dignitas. Again, re-swapping. They have just been one step ahead this entire time.
I mean, the items for the AD carries just feel so depressing as well when you're looking over. You have a Vamp Scepter and a Cull. Like, you are going to be so far away from being strong. And Zven already has his tier 2 boots, already working towards that Blade of Rune King. He is going to be quite strong here. They swap back. They're going to be able to get first tower on bot side, pretty much guaranteed. I don't see any way that Dhokla could actually defend that. And then they could even pick up the Dragon if Spica wants to go down there. Licorice is not going to be able to be shoved off by a Vamp Scepter only MF, so he's going to be able to pick up all that farm. Bad just goes to worse, it feels like, for NRG.
Yep, NRG immediately recalling that top side. They know these wave states are bad. I don't know if there are good wave states in the current game for them, though.
There's less bad ones, maybe?
Yeah, it can be less terrible. Which, if you're 9 minutes in and every lane state is about bad and worse, it's not a good start.
No, I mean, mid lane's going fine. Palafox looking around the map. It's not looking pretty out there.
Now
they might have the 3-person gank here, maybe.
Dhokla is level 7, but Isles and Zven are going to respect the pressure from NRG and not go for the turret quite yet.
I mean, they have full ward coverage as well. So they bring Poppy down. That's not a jungle Poppy. That's a top lane Poppy abandoning her post. So that's just the top turret going down.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, you're dropping 2+ waves to even attempt this play, because Dhokla had a TP bot. No one has a TP to go back towards top. So yeah, you prevent the first tower gold from going to Zven, but instead it just goes to Licorice, and you lost 2 waves in an already really rough game where you're already down a ton of experience. He's denying the entire wave before allowing that tower to go. So then they're just going to get that tower bot right after. And we know that K'Sante can take over a game, so giving him the gold is also really scary.
And just a reminder for everyone at home, this is just the first round of the lower bracket. The winner of this will advance to the second round, which will be next Saturday. And then we've got another couple matches in the upper bracket next weekend as well. The first brick is claimed by Dignitas. FBI already forced the flash away, and Huhi could be next if they get one more slow. Flashes away, but Sven is going to hop, jump, and skip forward to help Isles pick up the kill on Huhi.
Dignitas absolutely steamrolling energy. This has to be one of the most one-sided 10 minutes and 30 seconds of the split. Maybe even the most. If anything was going to happen to bring it back, it would have been Palafox getting some type of kill on a Jensen here. That's avoided. It's 2 side lane turrets, both side lanes completely stomping. Mid lane has a kill, jungle's not behind, and they have all the objectives.
I would honestly love to hear from the stats team, like, what was the largest gold lead we have seen at 10 minutes? Because this is ridiculous. Like, it is so rare to see a 5,000 gold lead around 10 minutes into the game. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for NRG. I feel like at this point, you're almost already checked out on game number 1. You have to just start thinking about game number 2. You continue looking for desperate plays. You continue looking for anytime you see, oh, we have a man advantage, you just pull the trigger, hope that it works out. But for NRG, they're going to need like 5 plays like that in a row to even have a chance of coming back.
They're going to get 4 grubs, but can they ever use them will be the question. I did get confirmation that it's the largest dig gold lead of the split at 8 minutes, which was 2.9K.
Okay.
We'll get that at 14 minutes as well if they keep expanding, because Spica is in.
He's going to charge into the fight, pops the pressing guard, and blocks a lot of the damage from range. Isles is able to pick up the first kill. Bullet time rips through, but Licra is undeterred. Spica does fall, but it's a sacrificial lamb for the greater cause of Dignitas' win.
Yeah, it is a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. The bullet time coming out from FBI got quite a bit of damage down, and then a nice shock blast from Palafox snipes one out to get the first kill on the board here. But at the end of the day, still, the HP advantage is in the hands of Dignitas. They do have the Senna healing them back up. They're going to push up mid and start taking even more plates. I mean, we're not 14 minutes in.
Yeah.
They are potentially looking at a full 15 plater.
That's 12 plates already, 12 minutes in, with the 2 side lanes being completely down. I will say on that fight, Spica did go in a hair early, probably felt extra invincible, but I think they didn't have the Senna ult from the previous dive that they had executed, so he does die at the very end to a Palafox snipe. And I see no reason for Dignitas to relent here. Zven and Isles should just be camping this mid lane, taking little pokes every time they can.
I mean, everyone on Dignitas has a first item power spike. Everyone is so insanely strong. If you have any even numbers fight, it's winning. So Dignitas should always feel incentivized to just push the tempo and the advantage as much as they can and do not give NRG any room to breathe.
And you can see Isles already 55 souls, so the range is going up. You're going to get more and more annoying with that. As we are seeing this engage one more time. You know, Huhi finding that fight. They do get it on a Spica, and he gets slept up, and then the bullet time is able to help them pick it off with this nice shock blast.
Yeah, Spica barely getting hit by that last snipe. If he would have actually turned tail completely, he would have been able to keep the team deathless, but that's not a huge loss for them. It is but 1 kill going over to the Jayce, and it's really just about them holding control now. You can see Orianna push deep top, K'Sante push deep mid, and as long as they keep wards throughout the jungle here, then the mid lane is extremely safe to just keep taking this turret down.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we will see if they're going to be able to do that. Echoes of Hylia is completed, obviously, for Isles, as you called out, Raafaa, so he is going that more full Enchanter style build. You can see he's working on more AP after that, so not going to be going to the Black Cleaver like we saw last week.
Yeah.
Black Cleaver was more of a rush item in that game, but I think it was also because the Senna picked up a couple early kills and was just like, hey, I can buy this expensive item.
Yeah, I played a few games of this Senna. Also, the viewers probably have as well. I checked Lolytics. It's the most played support champ in the game right now.
Yeah,
the healing Senna.
It is really strong. I mean, Senna is one of my most played supports for a lot of years, and I played this last time it was meta years ago with the kind of AP style build, and it was already pretty strong then. It's just even way better now.
It's Soraka with the gun. Like, you get the bonus healing from the Dreammaker. The Echoes of Hylia stack so synergistically. It is absurd feeling. Like, none of the numbers themselves read super high, but you get to a point where your Q is healing people for 800 when it feels like, and it's kind of your whole team. So if they get into team fights and they stay kind of grouped up with the K'Sante and Xin being able to catch all of the Senna Qs, with this gold lead, they will be just unkillable frontline.
Yeah, I mean, you just put out so much healing, like you're saying, especially if you do get those pass-throughs. 800 is maybe like full stack, Echoes and all this extra stuff if you have a lot of items. But it definitely can be a ton of healing. And the ulti shield scales with that as well, so it is very, very powerful. And it is something that is going to have to be respected, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does get banned out later on in the series. But honestly, this game has not really been about the Senna. The Senna has been strong, but everything has gone wrong for him.
Yeah, and that is, I think, is the bigger picture for this game so far. When we were coming into the series, we had questions about who was going to be more coordinated, because the last time we saw them in last week against 100 Thieves and FlyQuest respectively, they both looked out of sync. But Dignitas have been so coordinated, and every punch that NRG has tried to throw, the counter's been that much greater.
And I think the worst part for NRG is they're the ones that wanted the swap, and they're the ones that failed the swap. This would be, to me, their last-ditch effort if they try any type of fight here in the Dragon Pit. I think the smart play is actually to concede and wait until your items are a little bit closer, but we have to see how they end up playing this out.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a give, honestly. I mean, we'll find out. Someone's got to get up top to answer Licorice, who is pushing up there. No one heading up there just yet, so maybe NRG are going to try to force some sort of desperate play. Huhi has a pretty good angle to maybe come in from behind. But Zven and Isles are playing towards the bottom side. They know that Huhi could be on that top side, and Spica is looking for a potential wraparound, so they could get preempted on the play.
Yeah, FBI might be isolated under the tower here. Huhi sends it on the Magnastorm, but everyone else is diving FBI under the tower. The tower is also gone, and here comes the collapse of the top laners, but the fight is already losing for NRG, so Dhokla has to scram. Contractz doing everything he can to hold the line against the tier 2 tower defense. But the rest of Dignitas are not even concerned at all.
And everybody at full health. The gold difference was so huge in this fight. Poppy ult knocks back 2, so it's now even numbers.
And Contractz is in trouble, still has flash. Finally pops it, looks for the sleep onto Licorice. But this is a K'Sante. Okay, it's enough damage. NRG are able to stop the siege for at least now. But Dignitas at almost 7,000 gold ahead against NRG with we're not even at the 20-minute mark yet, guys. Baron is not even on the table, and Dignitas are already sieging into the base.
Yeah, the Dignitas support there, Isles, 2,317 gold at 14 difference between the supports. A record this split. Not surprising. That is a pretty enormous amount of gold.
It's all plate and kill gold, basically, because it's definitely not from the CS. He gets a little bit from the souls of Senna, but that's more of a fun fact for how ridiculous this game has become.
I like the attempt here from NRG. You know, Huhi tries to go in, Zven flashes out, you know, is going to be able to be okay from this spot. But Dig know if we are grouped, there's nothing they can do, right? So everyone from Dig comes in, collapses. They don't underestimate the play. They're not splitting off and trying to take top lane tower plus the dragon, all these different things at the same time. And in an even fight, there's just really no chance for NRG. Only way to get a kill is someone like Licorice, you know, diving under the inhibitor tower as he did and then getting CC'd up.
We're almost 18 minutes into the game. NRG are trying to fight back for vision control on this top side of the map before the Baron does spawn in the next couple of minutes. On the back half, we saw that Dignitas took the second dragon of the game. I mean, Dignitas, if they want to, they can slow play this game out as their champions scale further and further into the game. But, I mean, this looks almost impossible for NRG to come back from. It's only on Dignitas to throw this game at this point.
I'd put it at 99-1. So, like, I think this is honestly the time where NRG needs to preserve their mental as much as possible. They'll try and keep making plays, maybe get a few nice looks, not necessarily expect to win the fight. I kind of more just want to discuss, you know, where NRG and Dig go from here throughout the rest of the series.
I mean, one thing I will say you can take away as a positive for Palafox is that he is playing well individually, and Palafox is a guy who has been having some struggles here, you know, this split in the LCS. Traditionally, even when NRG were having bad games last year, he was their rock. He was the guy that was always performing, and he's been pretty vocal about how he's disappointed with his own play, about how things have been looking. So getting Palafox, you know, back to that level in this mid lane matchup is going to be really, really good. But on the other side, Jensen, back on Orianna, back on Comfort, also playing well, is going to make that job even tougher for Palafox.
And the mid lane matchup even in this game was pretty interesting to me because both players defaulted back to things they had massive success with in the past. When Palafox made his run through summer playoffs, as there's some contesting of this red buff, he was the master of the Jayce Tristana matchup. He win both sides of it. So finding windows where he can play those champions where he found his most success on, I think would be something to build off of throughout the series, because it does also feel like NRG is kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, the Jayce is good, but the Poppy is a huge miss. The lane swap is a huge miss. Not having Senna priority figured out in the right way from last week to this week and then letting Dig first pick it away, also a miss.
I think the real question, though, is it, you know, a failure of idea or is it a failure of execution? Because to me, it's more of a failure of execution. You know, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with doing the lane swap or inherently wrong with the draft.
Sure.
But the way that they executed on it, obviously everything went really, really bad. Their bot laner, you know, Dhokla, who was in the bot lane, their top laner, got dove, while Licorice is farming all the experience, not getting pushed off at all. You know, that just can't happen in these kind of situations. You know, generally that alone is enough to sometimes end a game. Where they execute the dive and you fail yours. And in this situation, it went even worse because they tried this 3-man dive. They got TP'd on. Not only did they fail the dive, they got killed. So it's really, really tough in those situations to have a kind of unemotional read on what the problem was in a game like this where everything failed.
Yeah. Because like you said, it's not like Dignitas initiated all of those moves in the early game. There were counter punches to things that NRG did not execute cleanly.
The counter punches were unfortunately to their own face in this game.
They missed the target and punched themselves.
The uppercut straight to yourself.
Jensen is forced to flash away. Maybe we'll see this advantage from Palafox, but now it's double teleports from both teams. The healing from Isle's global ultimate gives Jensen a big shield. Palafox and FBI now have the man advantage against Licorice, and he oversteps his boundaries. NRG are able to pick up one, and Jensen is now cut off. He's going to look for the teleport. Can they get in range? Dhokla has flash. If he sees it, flash wall slam! And stops Jensen in his tracks.
Okay, that's a mental victory there. I say you flip Baron. Just go for it. No, there's no reason not to at this point. You are so far down. Just YOLO it on the Baron, hope that you can get a kill, hope that you can make something happen here. They committed so much to that play, though. It is going to be tough. They're on it.
It's 5v3. Both solo laners are dead. Neither of them have TP. This is actually a window back.
Let's see if Zven, Isles, and Spica can hold themselves against NRG. They have a massive gold advantage, but it's a 5-on-3. Sleep onto Isles. He can be the first target, but they turn right onto Spica. Eliminate the jungler. Eliminate the spike contest from the side of Dignitas. Zven and Isles are still alive. 2v5 at the moment, but they keep the range, and it might be enough that NRG no longer can take the Baron.
Yeah, smartly played there by Isles and Zven. Isles is being so annoying here. Almost has 100 souls, by the way, so that's why that range is getting ridiculous. Yes, they did have a good turn on a Spica. Yes, they did get that kill, and it is a bit of a swing for NRG, but because Isles and Zven don't also die, the mid laner, the top laner are respawning. They can't actually get to it. This is a good play initiated by Palafox. Again, he really was the lone positive force in the early game here. And again, here's him making action happen.
Yeah, and the big thing that actually wins this is the fact that the Lillia and the Rell beat the rest of Dignitas up here for the eventual support. Jensen should have been just the lone death there, but because Dig thought they were so far ahead, they end up leaving the door a little bit open. That is a big mistake, actually, for Dignitas. Could have been a lot worse if we think about the Baron actually going over, if the objective bounty could have been converted. But as of now, it's still very heavily in the favor of Dig. That was a pretty big window, though.
Yeah, because it's like what you guys said about 10, 15 minutes ago. I mean, NRG would have to get 5 miracle-winning fights in a row to shore up the gold deficit that they have against Dignitas right now.
Yeah, I mean, Palafox, though, still deathless. Contractz deathless as well. Palafox, helping to make that play happen. Was big, so they haven't given up in this one just yet, but Dignitas is moving themselves to Soul Point, which is going to be difficult. When you're behind and they get Mountain Soul, it always feels that much harder. I love the Dignitas face emote, by the way. That is fantastic.
That is an S-tier emote right there. Well, we'll see if Dignitas can maintain their form and not look like that emote again in the next coming fights. NRG, a little bit of confidence boost knowing that Dignitas is not completely immortal and they can punish some of these mistakes that Dignitas make when they're overextending on the side lanes here. No teleports from the solo laners of Dignitas for a few more, at least under a minute.
And at the very least, NRG does have playmaking, right?
Yeah.
They have the ability to try to look for outplays in the side lanes with Palafox. They have the ability to maybe find that perfect snap engage from Huhi, find that multi-man sleep from Contractz, eject multiple people from a fight from Dhokla and turn it into a 5v2 or a 5v3. These are the kind of things when you get this behind that you really have to hope for. Of course, if Dignitas, spreads properly and plays properly, it's not really going to be possible from this kind of a deficit. Yeah. But it is getting closer and they are becoming more competitive.
This is a big caveat. But if you ignored the first 12 minutes, the last 12 minutes have been fine for NRG.
That's true.
True.
It's just a shame that NRG is missing an arm and a leg from the first 12 minutes.
This is true.
Make it harder.
This is true. It makes these effective 12 minutes not as effective. They are making Dignitas earn it from a spot where it felt like the game was going to be free.
Yeah.
Which is actually something they should be able to mentally build off of if they go to the next game.
That's kind of the beauty and the curse of MOBAs, right? Is that, if you have a bad early game, the opponents get stronger, so it just gets harder and harder and harder. So, a good play later that would, at parity, win you the game does not do so, right? That's the challenge, is that the early game can really make things incredibly difficult for you.
Yeah. The fact that NRG are finding some of these windows, like you said, Jatt, that's the mental confidence that you need to try and maintain going forward into such a long series like this one, where it is a best of 5, no longer the best of 3 from the regular season. And now Dignitas are going to try to start this Baron up.
There was a TP ping behind Jensen, but then they moved that control ward, so it's not a flank they're going to be going for. They will see that this Baron has been started, though.
There's just no reason to flip this, though, for Dignitas. I mean, surely they're going to try to turn. Maybe Licorice all out over the wall.
Contractz has been many situations where he steals it, but Spica secures the Baron. I thought that Contractz might have had it, but now the jungler for NRG is gone, and it's a 5-on-4 in the map for Dignitas.
I mean, that was an absolute burger flip. Yeah, there was the Kalista to help you, time that Ren, but how many times have we seen that fail over the years? I'm really surprised they committed to it. I thought, if anything, maybe Licorice was going to flash over the wall and then all out to push Contractz further away and secure it in that way. But letting Contractz into the pit is one of maybe the only ways NRG could hope to come back. So Dig, definitely risky. It does work out for them, though. And now with the Baron buff and a massive gold lead, they're going to knock down all of these outer towers. They're going to extend this gold lead.
I mean, law of averages. If there's enough dig barons, eventually you're going to have a dig season baron. So they're just like figured that this one was going to be fine.
Fair.
Yeah. Because I agree with you. What are they doing? They just let Contractz have a free chance at smiting it.
Yep.
He's, aside from X-Smithy, stolen the most barons of any player in LCS history.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Licorice was playing to the wall, so maybe he thought he could like find an angle to like get vision on him and stop him before he could get the smite. But then they needed to stop damage on the Baron and let him come in, then all out him back over the wall. Like there needed to be something there from Licorice for sure, and from Dig to be able to prevent that. But at the end of the day, it did not end up happening. They are massively ahead, 10K, looking for the last outer tower here now as they do push in through this bot lane and look to try to put the finishing touches on this game.
Zven, Jensen, and Isles currently pushing into the tier 2 tower. Spica will join them. Licorice is joining from the other side as he's actually teleporting in, or Jensen, I should say, is now Dignitas. After the tier 2 turret, they back off, wait for the next minion wave, while NRG tries to deal with Licorice, who's also pushing in through the mid lane.
Yeah, Licorice has played a really strong game after getting that early advantage. Hasn't let his experience advantage decline, which can be a trap that a lot of top laners fall into when they are very far ahead. They oftentimes will overgroup because it seems easy, but he's very strong at applying the side pressure, and he's actually just letting them break these turrets. This might be the look for NRG. Watch Huhi.
Oh, nice flash, though, by Jensen to dodge the wall slam of Dhokla.
He's going for it anyway.
Huhi, massive Magnet Storm, but the bullet time was already used, so there's no real damage to follow up. Contractz is trying to get into the middle of all 4 members, but Licorice is now making the collapse. Big shockwave from Jensen, scatters NRG around, and Licorice here for the cleanup. He's got the broom, and he's sweeping them all under the floor. A double kill for the top laner of Dignitas, and this game is finally over.
Dignitas clean up NRG, push on the Nexus, and they're going to take this first game in convincing fashion.
Absolute stomp from the Dignitas squad. There was not even a chance that NRG was going to come back, and Dignitas will move ahead 1-0 in the series.
Very strong opening game here for Dignitas. A recovery from their atrocious week they had last week against 100 Thieves. I would say, though, this game was all about the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Successful dives, successful dive defenses, the best early game we've seen from Dignitas all season. So all signs do point to Dignitas being the improved team from last week. We'll have to see what NRG can do to bounce back in Game 2.
All right, well, for everyone else at home, single-day tickets are officially on sale for the LCS Championship at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles. Head on over to riot.com/LCS Championship to claim your spot. With that, we're going to head on over to the LCS Lounge to break Game 1 down.
Welcome back, where we're still talking about lane swaps and where I'm going to flip my prediction after Dig.
You flip
I can't tell whether you guys are booing that or the lane swap.
Both.
I'm going to guess the lane swap.
I, for one.
All right. No, we're going to start at a minute 30. This is the last time things are going to look good for NRG, right? Because they're actually the ones calling for this swap. We're going to have Dhokla come and affect mid. I've talked about how important this is, right? So they pushed Jensen back. And then we're going to speed ahead here to about 244, where we're looking at Spica, right? So he is on this rotation. He skips the camp spot side, sets up. Most importantly, Dhokla is level 1 still, and Licorice is already level 2. So he's soaking up all this XP. We've talked again about how important it is to try to get your top laner ahead in these situations as well. I want to reiterate, NRG were the ones that actually initiated this swap, right? Dhokla is all the way back here. So he's getting zoned off of this entirely almost. And then they are going to have a really easy setup to dive onto him. He comes back in, is not able to get the level 2 in time, ends up dying right here. So on the swap back, we're going to fast forward again to about 448 here. So we've swapped back now, and NRG are looking for a dive on bot side, right? Dignitas are able to TP Jensen in, respond to this completely, and then they get another kill, this time onto FBI. Now we're gonna go ahead to 34, about here. So we're gonna watch NRG's recalls across the board. So we're recalling up here. MF has recalled. So now NRG's bot lane are going topside. But look at what happens here, because not only while this is happening, so Dhokla is still getting shoved in by Licorice, and on this top side, FBI is all the way back here. They're going to be able to get 2 kills off of this entire thing. At this point, this is way out of NRG's control. And we had talked previously about how Dignitas have not responded as well to swaps. This is probably the best I've seen them be able to actually respond to a lane swap, especially after last week, where I think 100 Thieves kind of beasted them in a lot of these situations because they would make mistakes. So really tough look for NRG. And that's kind of where the game was decided, right? Because even with the little flub in the top lane where they did get that catch onto Jensen, did not look good for NRG.
I mean, this was absolutely abysmal from NRG. So the best recommendation for them is delete this from your memory, focus on game number 2. I mean, don't repeat the mistakes that you've made. So don't completely delete it, but do not focus on that at all. They have to recenter. There you go. Dhokla's recentering already. Yep. It's fine. I mean, next game, a brand new game. Because this one, by like 7 minutes, I already knew, you know, you have such a low chance to win this game. You are fighting such a massive uphill battle. It's very rough for them. But I, for one, am going to stick with my prediction.
I am
my
not.
3-0 energy prediction.
I'm going to 3-0 Dig now.
This
actually,
is, oh my God.
purely based on vibes from this first game.
This is the first flip-flop I've ever seen you.
Get your shoes off the couch, Raz.
No!
Get your, I sit there. That's my spot.
Well, guess what?
Look at it.
Find another couch.
I sit there. You're disrespecting Tibbers, man.
I've always been disrespecting Tibbers.
Yeah, Raz throws Tibbers at least once a week.
Now I know. Now I know why our couch is so dirty. Your shoes
Don't put that on
It's
me.
Raz's fault.
I hardly sit on this thing. But no, like, it's rough. And I would say from Dignitas' side, you talked about how good their swaps have been. That's a clear improvement. They've also talked about in interviews, Licorice specifically with the Anime podcast, how basically they've been focusing and working, and they needed to work on their practice, and it's looked like it's gotten considerably better.
Yeah, this was a little bit better. Dig 3-0 now. I'm calling it now. As we head to break, listen to this week's LCS Connected Comms replay presented by AT&T and voted on by chat.
NRG 3-0.
Can't happen.
Yeah, we could dive here, okay?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hello?
Bro, why are you parking?
Seriously, what is that?
Remote smart parking assist. You could have parked anywhere.
They could have parked there, they could have parked there, they could have parked there.
Dude, why'd you put your new rig in the basement?
Didn't you hear? Bill's a good gillionaire now.
Basically, my new connection is so strong I can game anywhere. Check it out. We've got gamer rocker, gamer floaty, gamer couch.
Whoa.
It's got wheels.
Gamer bench, gamer throne, and gamer mower.
What's that?
It's hard to game while walking downstairs.
I get it.
That's smart.
Live like a gagillionaire with low latency everywhere. AT&T Fiber with All-Fi.
Spell, every spell. Double flash.
Yeah, I'm looking here, If you can reach. MF. Okay, I've queued up in 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dropping now. 80 no flash.
I'm fine. It's all you, Zven.
I think we die.
Wait, 7. 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
No.
Wait.
I'm taking one more.
Yeah.
Back out.
Guys,
Nice.
wanna get out, right?
Yeah, I'm
Need
sorry.
fight?
Yeah,
I'm on Zin.
Yeah, just on the right.
Hitting Zin.
Yeah, try to hit Zen. No ulti on Ori again.
Zin
still has flash.
Didn't I flash?
Yeah, I'll flash out.
Zen's dead.
Nice. Did it. I'm TPing.
Hit tower. Ulting.
Yep.
I flashed out. We win here.
EM4. Let Poppy.
I have ulti still. I still have ulti, okay?
Yeah, look.
Keep going if you can.
Yeah, I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
He might get snared. He's snared.
It's all you guys.
Nothing.
I have ulti if you want. Ori flash? No, right?
Don't flash Ori.
Orianna flash. Look for her.
I'm looking at Zen.
Zin.
Yeah, looking at
ADS.
Cluster.
That's
That's it.
I can look at Rell here. Kill Rell on the left. Rell on the left.
I have ult still ulting.
Yeah.
Big shield.
I'm coming behind.
Yeah, we can win. Hard raining. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm behind now. Look at me.
Yeah.
AD. I can shield you.
Which here?
It's just bank.
It's just bank, I think.
Nice drop, guys. My champ is really
Your
balanced.
champ is really balanced. We kind of fizzed them early, no?
Big Dokes is just vegan, no?
Yeah. I started the lane with 100 HP. And
Yeah.
this guy couldn't lane.